a show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon Spa Nail and Barbershop, the Wellness Center, Medical and Behavioral Health Clinics, Ticely Cross Deliciously Smooth Cider, HOV Medical, and Digicel. Sign up for Digicel Plus Home Light Bundles, faster internet, movies, and sports. This is the big story. I'm Kathy Richards. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this edition. With me in studio today is a face that you would have become extremely familiar with on the campaign trail, as well as some of his taglines that he would have been carrying throughout that trail.
Stop the frig.
Stop the frig.
All right.
Daniel Jahphix is here with us. We weren't able to catch up with you shortly after the whole process would have been completed, but you're here now, and we're going to have a discussion. How are you, and how has things been with you since that experience of April 24?
Yes, well, I look forward to having a discussion with you. So what's your first question?
How has it been? How was the whole experience for you?
Oh, well, the experience was good. I definitely came out of my shell. I'm usually quite introverted, so I don't really have a lot of social interaction with people. But this really brought me out of my shell, and I really enjoyed meeting so many great people.
Is it one that would keep you out of the shell now?
I don't know, we all have a habit of, going back to what we're comfortable with after the elections. But certainly I speak to a lot more people now.
Awesome.
It's just nice, it's nice meeting and talking to having a whole set of new people to talk to.
Awesome. Yeah. And one of the things that, we constantly hear from electorates and the general public, when persons would have campaigned and whether they win or not, in the instance of those who would not have been elected into office, they go silent. And one of the things that persons have been constantly saying, they should not go silent. You should be, if you're going to continue along this line, you should continue to make your presence be felt, continue to integrate and to look out for things of country that matters. And we see you in this instance doing just that.
Well, it's not that I necessarily have or had. Well, let me preface my comments by saying that when I decided to run in this election, the reason I decided so late to run was because I didn't really want to run, but I felt I needed to run because I felt there was some change that I could assist with in improving the territory. But sometimes it's equally after elections, and if one loses, let's see what happens over the next few years to see what the government does. If they do a good job, well, all the better for the territory, right? But what I'm doing isn't necessarily geared towards another election bid. What I am doing is just something that I feel is necessary for the territory. The first thing I'm doing is having a legal aid clinic on Fridays between the hours of 10 and 1, 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. while I'm in the jurisdiction. Or when I'm in the jurisdiction, I should say. I mean, I'm most times, but sometimes, I need a little break too. And I'm going to be starting to have some lives explaining our legal system to the general public.
Okay, so let's first discuss the legal aid. And I remember you mentioning the importance and the need for this a lot on your campaign. If you can reiterate why this is so necessary.
Well, the first thing to note is that a lot of people don't have the legal knowledge to know whether or not they have a case. And sometimes they will go to a lawyer charge them a lot of money only for the person to leave the office wanting. The legal aid clinic is designed to give free legal advice to people that need it, so that they know whether they have a case and whether or not they should pursue that case. Now, legal aid, a proper legal aid clinic, when I mean a proper legal aid clinic, a fully functioning legal aid clinic, is one that employs lawyers not only to give low cost or free legal advice, but to represent persons at reduced costs or for free. I can't do that right now as someone in a private sector, but it's something that's very important because access to justice is a human right. And if you don't have that access to justice, or if there's no access to justice, then because the court is so, getting a lawyer is too expensive, and you're not able to ventilate your rights, then that will lead you and society in a much worse position, because other people see that, okay, you can take advantage of people in this way and nothing will come of it. And that's not good. That's not good. So the legal aid clinic will help to fortify society and improve society by ensuring that when people's rights are abused, that there is somewhere for everyone to go to get representation in court.
So that is being formed, that the legal aid clinic is being formed?
No, what I'm doing is that I'm doing what I can, and I'm offering legal aid advice.
Right. Okay.
Which is a free consultation for about 20 minutes. Find out what the issue is before, to make sure that everything is succinct, everything is that we use the time as efficiently as possible, and I'm able to advise, or my business partner or associate is able to advise the client in an efficient manner and a cost-effective manner.
No, so awesome. And since you've become a more open person, out of the shell person, you find that persons have been coming towards you seeking advice on legal matters since?
Yes, I mean, we could always do it a bit more, persons, but yes, a lot of people have been coming, and that is why I decided to venture out into teaching a bit, giving public classes or live, so people can be better informed about their rights.
Talk to us a little bit about that, those lives that you're looking at starting.
Yeah, so
the areas to cover.
When we say lives, I don't mean children, by the way.
No way. Yeah, lives is the live stream, and those are the terms we use now.
So essentially, what's happening is that I decided that one of the things that the public should know is what their rights are, how the legal system in the country that they live in operates. So I'm going to start off my programs by explaining to the public as to the workings of our legal system, the underpinnings, how the Constitution operates, how legislation operates, how something called case law operates, which is known as the common law. Then we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about substantive areas of law, things like negligence. Negligence can mean, when someone crashes into your car on the highway. We're going to go into a bit of the criminal law, of course, a bit of family law, something else that is very important, wills and succession law, and a bit of company law, if I didn't mention that already. So really a broad spectrum of things, so people can get a better understanding of what the law actually is and how it operates. I also want to get into a bit of the law of evidence, and I hope that when people get educated on what the law is, that they would be able to lobby for changes in an effective manner. So they see something they don't like in the law, they can effectively lobby their representatives or the governor or the deputy governor, as it may be, for a specific change that they're looking for, and do so from a very strong standpoint, having knowledge, at least rudimentary knowledge, of how the system operates. And eventually I want to get into teaching persons how to fill out the forms so they can get the process starting by themselves. You know, because, you know, there's a lot of simple matters that I don't have time for and just doesn't make any commercial sense to take on. Things, you know, that cost like things where the money being sued over is like $1,000 or $1,500. It doesn't make any sense to pay me my fee, my hourly fee for that kind of money, because you're not going to recover that. You're going to end up paying me more
than what you're actually getting.
Than what you're actually getting.
Yeah.
And so I want to put people in a situation where they can pursue these things by themselves without a lawyer, that they know how to defend themselves at the very least and put in a defense. You know, some things you don't need a lawyer for.
Okay, and from your experience and knowledge, some of these things are quite simple to do?
Oh yes. Some of these things are simple to do. I mean, can look intimidating, but hopefully after the course is complete, well, when I say the course, after I finish the production, because it's not going to be a huge, long, ongoing thing. That's not the plan. I just want to make sure that I can impart this to people. And they'll see, okay, yes, I had a case against this person. This person did me this. I didn't know I could do this. But now I know, because I have this knowledge. I know how to fill out the forms. I know how to get this case. I know what to expect when I go to the magistrate's court. You know? And I think that would definitely help.
What is one of the most common challenge you see from among the areas that you plan to discuss? What is one of the most common one that you see as a legal person?
Well, all of them, which is why I'm...
Oh, wow.
Yes, there's a huge spectrum of issues out there. For example, executors that don't want to distribute their estate, meaning they don't want to divide and hand out the property to whom it is due. That's a major problem.
Wow.
A lot of persons don't understand, for example, how divorces work and what to expect over the course of a divorce. And even something like negligence, as I was explaining before, that touches and concerns on people's everyday lives. And even to an extent a bit of company law, because we have a lot of persons that wish to be entrepreneurs here, and they don't have the wherewithal to know what the responsibilities are if they incorporate a company.
Recently in a discussion in a group chat, I've seen this question come up, and it maybe not been the first time that it would have come up, but the question is still out there. When persons, it's in the instance of persons being arrested and being named. We know for a fact that the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force will not release a name of a person who is arrested unless they are charged. But there is this debate that a person can be named without any legal recourse being taken against them, against whoever releases the name. Is that the case based on your understanding?
I'm not sure. I haven't encountered that issue as yet. Personally, what I do know is that sometimes things are sensationalized in the news. And so when you release the name of a person as even being charged with something, and that has to go before a jury, a lot of people think that that person, in order to be charged, has to have done it, has to have done the crime, even if that person didn't. And then they get they get found not guilty, or the judge throws out the case because of a lack of evidence, and that person ends up getting shot. Because according to X and X, this person is the one that did, or else they wouldn't have been charged in the first place. It's be like, aha, they caught the person. But that's not necessarily the case. So there is a problem with sensationalizing of a charge, you know. Then again, not everything that not everything that's that is known on the ground necessarily reaches the court. That's the other.
That's a major challenge. Yeah.
That's another issue, you know. But that's something that we should
Yeah,
certainly.
we see so often the police would be saying persons with information relating to XYZ, please come forward and assist. And then you see persons on the side would be saying, oh, they know who it is. They know who it is. But the police is saying, you need to come and tell us, bring this information to us before we can move forward. Help us to understand that scenario.
Well, I think that's a trust issue with the police. I don't think anyone trusts the police as it is, and it's not just a local problem. It is a problem throughout the United States, the United Kingdom, everywhere, throughout the Caribbean, and it's really been taken. The trust is really because in a lot of situations, people have the accumulated experience of dealing with the police has not necessarily been a good one. I myself try to avoid them as much as possible, unless I have to due to professional purposes. I just like to stay out of the way. So I would say that if you want to improve policing in the Virgin Islands, if you want to ensure that crime goes down, then the police have to build trust. It can't be done. Well, let's go back a few steps. Trust is like respect. Respect is earned. Trust must also be earned. And if it is that the force over the years has not necessarily displayed itself to be a trustworthy institution, then you can't really expect people to want to come forward because they're scared that this police person may leak this information to the person being complained about, and so that person doesn't necessarily want to put themselves in harm's way, and I'm not saying that is a regular occurrence within the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, but it's certainly something that everyone has heard about.
Yeah.
Sometimes a few bad apples can indeed spoil the entire barrel. If you don't take out the bad apples out of the barrel, then the entire barrel is gone.
And sometimes it's so difficult to find out which apple's not good, because like the literal sense of apple being preserved, you can't tell what's happening on the inside by just looking on the outside.
Exactly.
So it calls for a lot of digging and investigating. In the sense of you doing this education, providing this educational platform via your live streams, is there a mechanism set up where you can be able to respond to queries that persons may have for you based on what you would be discussing? I know in a live, yes, there is the feed that goes up where persons will make comment, but I'm thinking if you're going to be doing a lesson, you will try to stay focused on what you're trying to disseminate. At which stage do you get to interact with the audience to understand what are their concerns based on what you would have shared?
So I'm still working on the format, and I'm by no means an expert in lives or live streaming. It's going to be a learning process for me as well as to how to get persons to be able to interact. But certainly I really want that to be a main part, a substantive part of the lesson, because there's no use me talking at people. I need to talk with people so that we're all on the same page, or at least a good amount of us are on the same page. And if I'm not saying explaining in a way that that particular person can understand, maybe someone else will be able to join in and explain it in a way, in a more understandable way. And I'll probably invite other legal professionals onto the program if they're willing to talk about a particular subject. This will allow us to have different perspectives and really try to get the knowledge out there, because I say this: the rule of law requires that people have a general knowledge of the law. And from there you have this saying, ignorance of the law is no excuse. But really, come on. We have so many pieces of legislation out there. The law is, you even have a whole legal language that we call legalese. How can the average person understand what's going on?
Yes.
and they're supposed to abide by a system that they can't understand or don't understand because it hasn't been explained to them. That makes no sense. How can you live? That doesn't seem right for the good operation of society. Living in a society where people don't understand the system that they live in, and haven't been given the tools to understand the system that they live in.
You see, there is a way of breaking that barrier in any way?
Well, this is the first step.
Yeah, this is one. And how about we having some components of law being taught in schools?
Well, it's not just really the schools, you know. I mean, school is only a small fraction of people's lives. I think public lectures, for sure. I think ensuring that all laws are publicly available online, to ensure that the Attorney General's Chambers Library, which is a public law library, is in fact properly stocked and properly resourced. You know, they have 2 people there that work very hard, but we need to make it more accessible.
User-friendly and accessible.
Well, the staff out there make it very as user-friendly as possible, but you know, that's what we're lacking. We actually haven't had a public library since Hurricane Irma.
Oh yes, oh yes. That's a challenge. Imagine a territory without a public library.
Yes. So certainly, but I would really like it though, if this initiative could be taken up in the US Virgin Islands as well. There's also a lot of members of our diaspora all around the United States, so I hope that throughout their lives that I'll be able to attract their attention as well. But I really like to start a movement throughout the Virgin Islands where lawyers are explaining things to people at low cost, because the way I look at it is that if somebody comes into my office and they're talking a load of nonsense, and I run them out of my office in 10 minutes, I would really feel bad about charging them, you know, my consultation fee. So this is also an effort to ensure that people don't come into my office chatting a bunch of foolishness.
Only that, yeah, I would say it.
No, but many lawyers, and I know quite a few local lawyers that feel the same way. They don't feel like charging these people because some of these people are chatting a set of foolishness, but they don't understand that they're chatting a lot of foolishness.
Okay. In their minds, it makes sense.
Yes.
Yes. So okay, that's a great initiative I think that you're doing, and I thought, you know, why not give this some push as much as possible, because education is never too much and no one is ever too old to learn. And before we close off here, are you finding more of your legal colleagues gravitate into the ideas that you would have been sharing openly in public during the campaign period?
I have absolutely no idea. Okay. I mean, I don't really interact with a lot of lawyers. I mean, I have my mother's bookshop at Serendipity. Okay. I interact with that. I interact with my business partner and associate. But outside of that, I just talk to the average person. A lot of the ordinary people on the street, they're very receptive to my ideas. But certainly, I hope that eventually I'm able to assist in pushing the legal profession to become more public and have a more public image. Because right now, you know, pretty much one of the very few lawyers that actually speak about anything whatsoever. Not the only one, but one of the few ones that
in public.
Yes,
okay.
and in the public sphere.
Okay, so where can persons tap in to find your live come this Thursday?
I have my Facebook page, Daniel Robert F. Davies, and it's a public feed live, so you know it could be shared and stuff like that. I can share it via WhatsApp as well. I'm not very good at WhatsApp groups, so ask someone in the Anagata chat for the link, because I might not be able to share. I don't know how the sharing works, but I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to be on YouTube as well? Because there are a lot of people who are not on Facebook would love to also tap in on it. Or are you going to be looking at that soon?
I'll be looking at that. Probably I'll see if I can't upload the videos to YouTube.
Okay, yes. subsequent.
Yeah,
Okay.
subsequently, then I'll figure out how I can do the YouTube live. I mean, these things aren't complicated. I know the basics on how to get it done. It's just a matter of certain technical aspects of it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not really a producer like you, so or your great producer right there, Mr. Prince.
I'm being honest. All right, awesome.
Yes.
So, Danielle, I really applaud your efforts in trying to raise the bar of things where we see things lacking, and you make an effort to raise the bar so it would be a benefit to all and sundry. Your time would not be wasted to an extent where it should not be, you know, and then persons get to become more familiar with some things that they would not have been familiar with in the past.
Well, it's important. It's also important for peace that people understand what their legal rights are. I mean, one of the reasons, I guess, for violence, for a lot of the violence, not necessarily gun violence, but for violence as a whole, is that people don't understand what their rights are. They're afraid to take it to court, and sometimes, yes, a court takes a while, but it eventually gets resolved. But the point is that people don't know what their rights are, and so, you know, there's unnecessary violence, and violence could be shouting. Don't forget, there's also sort of domestic violence, which can be financial violence towards someone. And so we're not just talking about physical violence, we're also talking about emotional, psychological violence as well. And a lot of that arises because people don't understand what their rights are, and they don't know how to enforce their rights to stop that violence.
Awesome.
And I'm hoping that my efforts will be able to stem some of that. And perhaps the court will thank me for the increased work.
And you will reap the benefits. Thank you so much, Danielle, for stopping by and sharing this with us. And I know that the general public is going to be very receptive to this. And I want to thank you for taking time out to join us here on The Big Story.
Well, I would, if I may say, though, well, you know, everyone knows me. I'm at Silk Legal, so you just phone and have a phone conversation about it if you want more information. And sponsors will be amazing, just to uplift this.
That's a plug.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
Opiate. Hi, I'm Cowboy, and I'm running for Presidents of Steak. Thank you. And I will meet your needs.
Some bathrooms are so expensive to build, they come with security. But at Staycation Butchers, our meats are affordable. People always ask me, Cowboy, where does your salmon come from? Well, our salmon comes from the water. A vote for Cowboy is a vote for quality, integrity, and consistency. So come into Staycation Butchers and cast your vote for me, your next president of steak. Alexandra Durant approves this message.
No, I don't.